Keeping an eye on the water, I head down the loch and follow the River Spian to a place called Highbridge. As the name suggests, a high bridge was built here to carry an old military road 80 feet above the water. Now, as you can see, there's not an awful lot left of the old High Bridge, but despite having become a complete ruin, it's a significant location in Jacobite history, because just over there, the very first shots were fired in the 1745 Jacobite Rising, when a heavily outnumbered band of clansmen took on the might of the British Army and won. To find out more about the Battle of Highbridge, I'm meeting up with Paul MacDonald. Now, Paul, we're standing at what was one end of the old High Bridge. Now, what happened here back in 1745?
Well, the Redcoats in Fort William knew they had to reinforce for the gathering clans nearby. And so 2 companies were sent from the north down here, 85 men in all. And so Donald MacDonald of Turnadrish gathered 12 of his men to set an ambush at this choke point right here at Highbridge.
But 12 men is not many.
It's not many, but they say it's enough to start a rising.
And that's what they were doing, in effect.
It was, yes, and it was a very strategic action. The predictable route was General Wade's Road, and so they tucked themselves in behind the trees, and they used an old inn for hard cover over there as well. They wouldn't have seen a thing until the shots were on them.
So they were able to kind of press home their advantage, despite the fact there were only 12 of them in number altogether.
Yes, yes, and also once the shots had started firing, they were running about, making noise and shouting, and the pipes started up as well. So a lot of commotion going on over there. They had no idea how many they were facing.
Now, did that ploy work?
It did work, and the Redcoats sent across a sergeant and a servant to talk terms. And the Jacobites just took them and said, "Have you got any more?" So they weren't for talking terms at all, and that was clear enough to make the Redcoats retreat.
With his metal detector, Paul's been scouring the banks adjacent to the bridge. Amazingly, he's unearthed some of the musket balls fired by the Jacobites.
And these are some of the first shots fired in the 45.
Good heavens, so you found these here?
Yes.
It is amazing to think that could be the first shot that was fired in the 45.
Yes, the very shots that declared war.
Now that is extraordinary.
Yes.
Now, you're a MacDonald yourself.
I am, yes.
How does that make you feel?
Well, to pull something out the ground, knowing that the last person that saw it and handled it, loaded it into a musket over there and fired at some Redcoat's head over here, is something, but knowing they were at MacDonald as well is particularly special.
It is, it's extraordinary. Well, thanks very much for showing them to me.
You're very welcome.
To demonstrate what the Redcoats were up against, firearms enthusiast John Hodgson has come along to show me how to fire a period rifle. John, this is a fearsome looking weapon. How do you load it?
This fires black powder, gunpowder and lead balls. And when the flint strikes a frizzen, it opens the pan and the spark ignites the powder, goes through into the breech and fires the main charge.
Although these weapons are no longer used, some of our everyday expressions derive directly from them. There's half-cocked, flash in the pan, and even sideburns.
That comes from this period. A row of soldiers all shooting, and the chap next to you fires his gun, and the flame shoots across and burns the side of your face.
So I'm now going to see if I can load it.
Yeah.
So,
right.
You
upend the gun, the butt on the ground.
Right.
And then you take a charge of gunpowder pre-measured in one of these little wooden bottles called an apostle.
Why were they called apostles?
Because it would be one of 12 that hung on your belt.
Right.
And there were the 12 apostles.
So this Matthew, Mark, Luke or John?
I don't know, that could be Wilfred.
Right.
So we've got the powder down. Rather than a piece of lead shot, we're going to stuff a piece of paper down.
Right.
And you take the ramrod out of its holder.
Ramrod?
And push that down. Give it a good few firm taps.
Right.
That's right. You take your rod out, then you put a sprinkling of powder into that pan. Doesn't matter if it overflows.
This is black powder. Whoops.
That's it, it's fine, yeah.
That's it. That's going to be our charge.
Yeah. Traditionally, the horns were made from cow's horn and scraped so thin that you could see
All right.
how much powder it
I
had
see.
in
You
it.
can see how much there is in there.
So we close the frizzen
Yeah.
and it just snaps down.
With the gun fully armed, I scan the woods for the approaching enemy. Taking aim, I can see a red coat crossing the bridge. I think I missed him, but I certainly gave him a fright.
Put the wind up him.
I make a hasty exit before there's return fire and follow a track above the River Spion.